I will never forget the day I got the key to my first classroom. It was an oppressively hot July morning, the kind of day where your clothes are already sticking before you're even out of the house. I had arranged to meet the custodian early, and when I walked into the school for the first time, I remember immediately tasting that dusty, waxy taste that hangs in the air during a school summer renovation. I remember being surprised at how sharp the ridges were on that industrial brass key when he placed it in my hand for the first time. And I remember the sense of pride that I felt when I saw Mr. Courtney, music, neatly printed on the nameplate next to my freshly painted blue door. And when I stuck my key in the lock for the first time, I had one of those rare sort of out-of-body experiences. And for just a moment, I could see into the future of my classroom. I saw a classroom filled with joyful noise and singing and dancing and laughter. And I also saw many of the challenges I knew I would face in that room. The resource barriers, the poverty, the cultural differences. But the one thing I couldn't see in that moment was the mundane, everyday classroom object that would go on to be my greatest enemy. This guy. At its core, evidence-based decision-making means that we're making choices informed by the best available research and data, supported by our own professional expertise and contextual knowledge. It's about moving us away from traditional and intuitive practice and into a space where every decision we're making in our classrooms and schools is carefully calculated and based on the most recent, best knowledge we can find. The sad reality is many of the things we have learned as best practices throughout our career are no longer considered to be so. Take learning styles, for example, the edumyth that just refuses to die. I am willing to bet a lot of money that everyone in this room at some point in your career has learned that there are 4 learning styles and that every kid has one. And that good teachers pass out learning styles inventories on the first day of school. And really good teachers do that at open house before the kids even get there. And they figure out what kind of learning style each kid has, and then we differentiate on those learning styles throughout the year. The problem with that is that more recent, more rigorous research into cognitive development has shown us that that's not even a thing. That, yeah, there are different learning modalities, but we all have access to all of them. And really good instruction actually ping-pongs around between all the learning modalities all the time. When our profession was originally designed in the 1800s, it was set up as 2 supposedly interconnected units. If you wanted to be a teacher, you went to what were called normal schools, where you received 2 years of instruction before going out to serve the one-room schoolhouses of America. And if you wanted to be a researcher, you did that full time at one of a handful of prestigious research universities. Now, this made sense at first because we really needed a lot of teachers really fast for our growing education system. And we also needed a team of people to figure out what the heck this new public school thing was even going to be. But in the long run, it really didn't work out very well because the two-way connection between research and practice never really solidified. And in fact, in the 200 years since, we have just grown further and further and further apart. Until today, research and practice are considered to be completely different disciplines. Teachers and researchers go to different conferences. They attend different universities. They read different publications. They hang out in different online spaces. Because of this, they speak different languages, and they often look at one another with suspicion and contempt, which is really kind of dumb because we're all working towards the same end goal: a better education system for our nation's children. So let's briefly consider this morning 4 evidence-based solutions for incorporating research into your decision-making processes. First up, we have the professional learning community. Our PLCs are remarkable spaces that allow teachers protected time to do the thinking work of education. They collaborate with their peers, they look at data, they discuss problems of practice, and they solve them together. By incorporating research review into our PLC cycles, even just once a semester, we empower our teachers to grapple with new and progressive ideas, to challenge old and outdated theories, and to improve their instruction together. We put the learning back in our professional learning communities. From the PLC, we can scale up to the building and system level. And here we find research practice partnerships, or RPPs. RPPs are mutually beneficial relationships between K-12 systems and research institutions. And from the K-12 perspective, they give us access to specialized tools and skills that don't normally exist within our structures. They allow our leaders to deeply study, analyze, and think about persistent problems that stand in the way of multi-year improvement. And they allow us to test our homegrown innovations and prove that they're working the way that we think they are. Another partnership-based model is knowledge brokering. Knowledge brokers are professionals who specialize in synthesizing research knowledge into a more accessible format. Everyone in this room today has the essential skills to download a research article and use it to inform a decision. But what you probably lack are the time, the resources, and the support structures to make that happen consistently. That's where our knowledge brokers come in. These folks come in and they get to know you and your school and your leadership team. They get to understand your unique problem. And then they go out and they find the best, most relevant research for you in your setting. They bring that to you in a new way, a more accessible format, and help you make that evidence-based decision. Knowledge brokers, by the way, have been around for a long time in other fields, but they're relatively new to education. They're going to be big in the next decade. Finally, my favorite of the four solutions, participatory action research. In action research, our educators dig deep and apply research methods to the problems and solutions in their own schools and classrooms. The reason it's my favorite is that action research has been shown time and time again to permanently change the way we think about research. Educators who go through high-quality action research programs, that is, programs that are job-embedded, that are based on a self-selected problem of practice, that are aligned to our professional learning goals and objectives. Those educators go on and they use research and data the next time they have a problem. And they do that on their own without prompting. Action research is one of the only professional learning mechanisms we have that permanently changes adult behavior in schools. Our work in education never happens in isolation. Each time you commit to making an evidence-based decision, you set off a ripple that goes on to touch every classroom, every student, every community. Together, we can transform education into the evidence-based field it was always supposed to be. And we can make that happen just one evidence-based decision at a time.